My name is Jane Rosenzweig, and I'm the director of the Harvard College Writing Center. This semester, I taught an expository writing course called To What Problem is ChatGPT the Solution? While my students did experiment with generative AI tools during the semester as they explored their research questions, our focus wasn't really on using the tools for coursework, but rather on developing a critical framework for thinking about generative AI. So for their first writing assignment of the semester, my students read a series of articles about how large language models work. And then they wrote what we called explainers, in which they explained large language models to an audience of their choice. One of the goals of this assignment was to build a baseline knowledge of how the technology works so that students would be able to use that knowledge as they grappled with their own questions about the potential and the risks of generative AI. For their explainers, my students chose a wide variety of audiences to teach about large language models, from their peers to their parents to Descartes and Leonardo da Vinci to eighth graders and more. While this assignment was designed specifically for my writing course, I think there are two important lessons that would be transferable to a number of other courses and contexts. First, once they understood how large language models work and they were able to talk about things like transformers and fine-tuning and training data, they began to speak with much more confidence about when and how it might make sense to use these tools in their coursework and beyond their coursework. At the end of the semester, some of my students told me they feel more likely to use tools like ChatGPT now because they understand what they're good for and what they're not suited for. Other students told me they have less interest in using them, but for the same reasons, because they understand what they can and can't do. Second, as we began to consider challenging questions about what the near future may look like in the age of AI, the questions they were asking were often informed by their knowledge of how these large language models work. So they had questions about bias and about hallucinations and about what those features of large language models might mean for how these tools are used by governments in medicine, in the arts, and beyond. Basically, my experience with my students this semester reinforced for me that no matter how we use these tools at the university, it's going to be crucial to prepare our students with what is increasingly being called critical AI literacy and understanding of how the tools work and what questions they should be asking about them.